My name is Ashley Brown. My pronouns are she and hers, and I am a principal consultant at GH Smart. You will be surprised at how many people are willing to have conversations and like informational interviews with them. If you say, hey, I'm a PhD student, I do X, Y, and Z, I've researched your company and I see that you do A, B, and C, would love to talk to you for 30 minutes about what your day-to-day looks like and how you got there and your path. People love talking about themselves. They love talking about the work that they do. And it's really exciting for them to pay it forward almost to someone who's going to be in their shoes next. So I started my search by talking to my friends about the companies they worked for, the companies they liked, what they'd heard about, what they'd experienced. And then I used those conversations to take me specifically to websites. The way I even found McKinsey, the best man at our wedding had worked there right out of undergrad. And he said, oh, I think they hire PhDs. You should look at McKinsey's website and see if they have a PhD thing. Like that was literally the way he framed it. So I looked at their website and they had a PhD thing. And that sort of started my introduction into applying to McKinsey. But like I said, LinkedIn is also fantastic. They've gotten better with their job postings. I also looked at Glassdoor to get an understanding for how places were rated, what were some common things that people praised and complained about the organizations. Again, for me, this was really kind of my entree into adulthood, if you will. This was the one time in life where I wasn't looking for something for 4 months for a summer or looking for something that would just take me to my next degree, but really somewhere I wanted to settle in. So it was really important for me to know not just the opportunity, but also to get as much information as I could about the culture of the organization as well. I get a lot of outreach. People reach out to me on LinkedIn. And the number one thing is formality. When someone reaches out to me and says, hey, Ashley, and I'm like, I have no idea who you are. Don't hey, Ashley me, or like, hey, Ms. Brown, or I'm like, no, I like approach, like literally make it formal. If I've told you you can call me Ashley or etc., then do it. But approach it with formality because that shows a level of sincerity and also a bit of research that you've done. And it also communicates how serious you are about having the conversation. So start with the formality. And then the next step after that piece of it is sharing a bit about you and something to personalize it so the other person knows that you're not just copying and pasting this to 50 different people and hoping someone replies. So if you start with, hey, Dr. Brown, I am a PhD student in political science. I'm curious about non-academic jobs. I saw from your profile or my Laura told me, or something that says like, oh, like you looked up something about me. It can be very tiny, but just something that says this is for me and not for, your 50 closest friends on LinkedIn. And then asking for like, is it okay for us to get 30 minutes to have a conversation? I'm specifically curious about X and Y. And so you start with the formality, you lead in with something about you talk specifically with something about them that lets you know that you're aware of who they are, and then ending it with a very specific ask or request, usually for time. If you have an agenda item or two to put in there too, then that's great. So essentially, if I am getting an email, I want to be able to read it on my phone and ideally not have to scroll at all. But if I have to scroll one time, it shouldn't be too long and it should be concise in a way that still feels personalized. A longer email is almost more rude than a shorter email. I know it feels like it should be the opposite, but for number one, you can still say everything you need to say in a couple of lines. And then number two, you don't want the person to feel like they have to write you 5 paragraphs back. If someone writes me 5 sentences, I can reply with, sure, so excited to have a conversation. These are the times that work for me. And it feels, a bit more in a flow, something I can do while I'm picking up my kids, something I can do when I'm, grabbing water in between calls, I don't have to sit down and craft this beautiful reply back to you that I probably will end up forgetting to do. So that's important. This is your life, and doors can open to you, and you never know which doors will open and when and why and how things will unfold. So you don't want to take yourself out of the running before you even had a chance to start.